يا أيها المدثر قم فأنذر وربك فكبر وثيابك فطهر والرجز فاهجر ولا تمنن تستكثر.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. I enjoy the show. It's like there's no arguing, no screaming and yelling at each other, which I said, let me try ask a question.
Okay, start screaming at us, man. Ruin it for everybody.
No. I can't find nobody. I'm an atheist from the beginning, so I don't know if you wanna.
Of course, man. I used to be an atheist. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
actually...
but you sound so. You're talking about logic and rationale, and there's no logic in any religion or proof. How could you be so sure?
Why? What makes you say that?
What's the proof Prophet Muhammad spoke actually to an angel in the cave, or he didn't made up all this stuff?
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful question. So I'm happy to unpack that. What would you consider as proof? That way that I kind of understand from your worldview, your framework, because when it comes to atheism, there's a big spectrum of what people consider atheist.
Proof of there is an angel. How are you going to prove there is an angel? Imaginary angel talking to somebody in the cave.
So when you say that you're looking for physical proofs, right? I can't give you the physical proofs of an angel. That just doesn't exist. Right. So that now hang on, sir. So what that does is that eliminates one form of evidence. So the question is there any other forms of evidence that we can look at in order to validate either through deductive, inductive, or abductive reasoning?
Okay.
Right. So what else would you consider as a form of evidence?
Pictures. People. Just like if you go and look at the pyramid, it was 7,000 years ago, still there, that you're proving me it's there. I'll believe you, pyramid is there. But when people talk about prophet, like Jesus is God, there's no man it's going to be a God. I give you that. How could a man be a God? It's impossible. Come on. If you're talking about rational and logic.
Okay. So
if you talk about faith and belief, I cannot argue with you with your faith and belief. Everybody have their own freedom, right?
That's right. I completely agree with you. So you brought up a very, very good point here, which is pictures and witnessing or seeing something. So would it be all right if I unpacked one of my reasons for the acceptance of Islam to be true? Okay. So in the Quran, in chapter 21, verse 30, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا, which means, have those who disbelieve not seen? So it's talking about something being visually seen. Okay? And then he's talking about the heavens and the earth being one joined entity, and he separated them, and from them made every living thing from water. And then it questions you, and it has you ponder, then will they not believe? Now, let me unpack some of my thought processes when I came across this verse. Okay. In 1929, Edwin Hubble discovered something called redshift. Are you familiar with something called redshift, sir?
No.
Okay. So what redshift basically is you take the elements that are on the periodic table, such as hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, and when you pass light through them, when they're in the form of gas, that there's certain wavelengths that get absorbed from this light. Okay? Now, whatever light is left over can basically be split utilizing a prism. You know what a prism is?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, it's basically you can have like a crystal object, and then when the light hits, you know how it just turns into a rainbow?
Okay.
So now the separator of the leftover lights through this prism shows gaps, which are black lines in the spectrum. These are called spectral lines. Now these gaps are formed from the light that was actually absorbed from the element. So you have these elements that are in the cosmos. You have tools and mechanisms that the eye can decode, and you can see various colors on the spectrum, and through this color spectrum between blue and red, you have black lines that cut certain portions of the spectrum. So far, so good?
Okay.
Okay. Now, Edwin Hubble took the light that was coming from galaxies and stars from far away, very, very, very far away, and he split it utilizing that telescope. And when he saw them all being shifted towards the red end of the spectrum, so he used the sun basically as a baseline, as a position, as an anchor, right? Because we're on the Earth, so you have to use a baseline. So taking the sun's rays and using it as a baseline and positioning the telescope to look out into a distance of distant galaxies and superclusters and so on, he started calculating the shift of these black lines towards a movement of the so he calculated the shift of the movement of these black lines from from blue to red. So the red end of the wavelengths turned out to be longer and the blue ends were shorter. And he witnessed that these galaxies, these red light wavelengths that are coming to us, are stretching out, meaning that things that are farther and farther away showed a difference in sequence of these black lines compared to things that were closer. So this showed movement. This showed expansion. Now, here's the crazy part. In a different chapter of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that he has constructed the heavens with strength, and indeed he is the expander. Okay, so now if you rewind time, the wavelengths were smaller and smaller, and this could be concluded from the inversion of the observation. It's not like we can actually rewind time, right? Now take this back all the way back to when there was that primary nebula, and you have the confirmation of the Big Bang. So now two things I want you to take away, because these are the two major things that I took away when I was conducting this research. One, the Quran specifically and miraculously says, won't the disbelievers see? Now I'm going to ask you, was Edwin Hubble a Muslim?
No.
No. So a non-Muslim who was a disbeliever discovered this red shift. So the second thing that it says is it specifically mentions the mechanism and tool for discovery. Do you know what that tool is?
No.
The eye. So the telescope is the ocular enhancer of our regular eye. Now, what's really, really interesting is light is part of an electromagnetic spectrum. And only a very, 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 very tiny portion of it can be seen by the human eye. These spectral lines that I mentioned to you just a little bit earlier are found in the visible portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, almost as if they were placed intentionally. I really want you to think about this. Not just the various colors that you see from the visible light between blue and red, but also the spectral separators and delineators are visible. Without either one of them working in a conjoined way, and without either one of them being visible to the naked eye, which the Quran claims, you would not be able to discover redshift. So now, the question is, how is it possible that a man 1400 years ago made the claim that he was speaking to an agent that was not of this world? This agent revealed that the discovery would be by a disbeliever. This agent revealed that the discovery would be a visible discovery utilizing the eye. And this agent claimed that the universe is expanding. So these things put together, any rational human being would inquire further and consider this as a valid form of proof. So let me hear your thoughts on that.
I think, quick question. Are you from Middle East? Do you speak Arabic? Or you converted to Islam?
I converted to Islam, alhamdulillah.
Okay, that's beautiful. I mean, if it makes your life better and you feel good, I'm all for it. Mm-hmm. But I think what you just told me, all this stuff, it's a huge stretch. I mean,
Huge
it's
stretch.
okay for you to
tell me how.
Yeah, you could
tell me
believe
how it
in
was a
that.
stretch. Tell me how it was a stretch.
Let me tell you, what you just told me, is that greater than building a pyramid? There was
Absolutely.
thousands of years.
Absolutely.
I listen. Whoever built the pyramid, and the Greek culture and the history of Greek and the Plato and
What does that have anything to do
Aristotle,
with what I said, sir?
they discover science and all what you just told me about. All these kind of things.
Discovering science is not an
everything.
admission of God's existence or lack of existence.
Yes. But you said this was in the Quran. The Quran, you believe it came through angel to the Prophet Muhammad, true? I think it's somebody just wrote it like Uthman and put it together, and there's no proof for that.
So wonderful. So let's take what so everything that I just said, you completely ignored. All rationale and reason you just threw out, right? Remember, because I asked you, are you a rational human being? And then now you had said, oh, okay, yeah, I'm rational. I'm atheist. I like to think differently and this, that, and the third. And I don't believe in things that I can't see. Ironically,
I just told you the Quran. I don't believe in Quran.
Sir. Just one moment. One moment, please. I didn't mention the Quran without reason. You said that you need to see something. I brought you a specific miracle of the Quran, which you can see. You can see right now. You can go research redshift. You can look at the visible shift. You can make your conclusion that it exists, and you can make your conclusion that the universe is indeed expanding. Then what you can do is you can test the claim of the Quran utilizing your rationale and reason, and you can see, does it agree or does it not agree? Can you violate the claim of the Quran in any way? Now, I wasn't able to violate the claim. The pyramids and math and science and all this other stuff, listen, that is a complete non sequitur to what I had brought to the table for you. You specifically asked for a visual type miracle that you can confirm and you would consider as evidence. And I gave you that. Now, for you to ignore everything I just said is a sign of intellectual dishonesty. So
but
either
anybody
you're interested,
could put it in Quran.
Okay,
as
anybody
atheist,
can put
anybody
it in Quran.
Could write that.
Right, but here's the thing.
There was scientists before.
Sir, they did not have modern telescopes. This was a discovery in 1929. Okay, so now you have to ask yourself.
Science,
sir.
The Greek had very advanced science, man. The Egyptian.
I understand what you're saying. But they did not have science as advanced.
Yes.
To determine.
Yes. But
the
even
redshift.
that quote that
excuse me, sir. Excuse me. They did not have science as advanced to determine the redshift, and they did not have science advanced enough to view the visible spectrum. They did not have the methodology. They didn't have the means. Okay. So now here's the thing. You're saying anybody could have written that. But what is the Prophet ﷺ saying? He's saying that nobody wrote this on earth, and he's saying that the author is an external agent. So now...
That's the Prophet saying.
Of course, because you have to take a look at the product of his work, right? You have to take a look at the product of the authorship of the Quran, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you have to take a look at the messengership.
That's what you believe in.
Sir, I understand that. You're asking me for proof, and I gave you the proof. You're rejecting the proof through non sequitur arguments by saying that science existed. Great. You still have to deal with how a man 1400 years ago made a claim and then came up with the truth. Everything that he says is true. Everything that he said.
But you don't know he came up with that stuff, what I'm saying.
Okay.
You don't know he put it in there. How do you know he didn't make it?
I'll give you a very simple argument, and every time I'm telling you from now, you're going to be coping with your responses. So Maurice presented you one argument from a scientific point of view. I'm going to present you an argument from a historical.
Not scientific. I mean, they're telling me from Allah and Quran. Allah and Quran. I'm telling you, I don't believe in it.
I don't mean to pause you for just a second, my brother, but I just want to ask him one thing before I hand him over to you.
No problem.
So here's what I want to ask you, sir. As an atheist, how are you validating your theories?
What theories?
the theories of existence, the theories of everything that you just claimed. How are you validating them? How are you validating the theories of the science that you brought up? How are you validating the theories of the Egyptians? How are you validating the theories of Aristotle?
There's no theory of Egyptian. The pyramid is there. You see it. Aristotle, whatever he spoke and taught, it's in books you could read. And to this day, they teach
it's in books,
colleges.
you can read it.
What you tell me is somebody in the cave, God spoke to him.
Right. So here's the thing.
This is what he said.
Right. So first off, let's start with some basics.
That doesn't mean
I'm
God.
sorry, Dean. I'm sorry. Let's start off with some basics. Do you think that the Quran was entirely revealed in a cave?
No.
Wonderful. How long was the revelation process? How long was the revelatory process?
I guess I hear it's 23 years.
Great. So do me a favor. Never, ever, ever say what you just said, because you are insinuating and belittling the entirety of the process, and it's showing intellectual dishonesty. Is that okay?
I mean, that's what you want to say.
No.
saying
Is
there's
that
no
okay,
proof
sir?
that
We have
God
to
speak to a
establish
man.
principalities of truth. I don't care whether or not you accept the truth. What I don't want you to do is reframe what actually happened, because what you're actually doing is you're concealing the truth, which would make you a liar. Okay?
No,
So
I'm trying to make it basic and not complicated.
You want to make
for
it very
people to
basic
listen.
and very complicated. So
Yes.
tell me the epistemic
complicated.
framework. Tell me the epistemic framework of how you validate theories on your existence.
What kind of theory are you talking
You
about?
exist, yes? Is that basic enough for you, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what you have done to validate your actual origin of existence.
I don't have to even look into that. I don't know where I came from. We don't know where we're going to go.
Okay, so you've done nothing
don't
to
have to-
validate it whatsoever.
I don't have to.
Okay.
Even scientists don't know where you come from, where you go. So why should you think about this? And is it
Okay.
God the answer to that?
So now, hang on. This is my answer, but I want to know what your answer is.
Yeah. My answer is we don't know where we come from and we don't know where we go.
Okay, and what have you done to validate that, sir?
I don't have to do anything. It's
No, no.
common sense.
What do you mean you don't have to? You made a claim. You don't know. You
Yeah.
said we don't know where we came from. What have you done to validate
Yes. Yes. I mean, there is enough science out there that they tell you could learn about it.
that?
That
Wonderful.
we really
So now you
come from
accept
nothing.
science. So what have you done to validate the science that has told you the things that it told you?
I'm not scientist. I believe in scientists.
You believe in scientists. So actually, you don't believe in science. You believe in the testimony of scientists.
No, because it's proven. Science is based
Science
on
is not
proving
proof,
stuff.
sir. Science is not proof.
Science is not proof. 1 plus 1 is not 2.
That's not science, sir. That's arithmetic.
That's math. That's part of science, my friend.
Okay, Dean, you can take it from
It's
here,
very
man. You can take it from here. The guy. That's one of the methodologies of validation.
Are you
by
getting
the way.
nervous?
I'm not nervous
getting
whatsoever,
shaky.
sir. There can only
You
be.
can't prove, man.
It's pretty relevant to discussion whether like it's math or not, or whether it's science or not. Okay, so listen, Plato. I have a question, right? You believe that the author of the Quran is a human, right? In the
Yes.
7th century, and it's a product of the 7th century, right? A man in
Yes.
the 7th century. Okay.
Sure.
Now, okay.
Somebody just made
I'm
it up.
gonna present you an argument. It's called the divine filtration argument. Have you heard it before?
No.
Okay, so the divine filtration argument goes as follows: Quran, had it been a product of 7th century era, just adopting stuff from the Bible and other oral traditions around him, then he would have borrowed also the incorrect information that is found in that pool of information. Okay, so one example: the story of the Exodus in the Bible. How many people participated in the Exodus?
According to what?
According to the Bible, how many people participated in the Exodus? How many Jews fled Egypt?
Dude, I didn't read the Bible. Why are you asking me about the Bible?
Okay, no problem. It says
I don't believe in the Bible.
It says
That's all made up.
600,000. Okay, no problem, bro. That's irrelevant to discussion. 600,000 men, excluding women and children. So that's 1 million plus people. Okay, do we have any historical evidence of such a big exodus?
No, there is no.
No, we don't. Okay, thank you. So, if this exodus did happen with 1 million plus people, would you expect evidence of it historically?
Of course.
Of course. Okay, thank you. I agree with everything you just said right now. What does the Quran say about the story of the Exodus?
I don't know what Quran say about
Does
that.
it? Does it say that there was a small group of people or a big group of people?
I know that.
Can't hear you, bud. Can't hear you.
I gotta decline this phone call. Are you there?
Yeah. So what does the
Sorry,
Quran
I was
say?
getting a phone call.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. So does the Quran say it was a big group of people or small?
How should I know? I didn't read the Quran.
Okay, you haven't read the Quran. You're talking about it. Okay. So the Quran says there were a small group of people. In the story of the Exodus, there were a small group of people that fled. Okay. How does the author of the Quran know that the Bible is wrong here?
The Bible is wrong?
Because remember what I just told you. The Bible says it was a big group of people. The Quran is saying it was a small group of people.
How do you know the Quran is right?
Because I just told you that the big group of people theory is wrong. You agreed with me because there's no evidence.
There's no evidence to the Quran saying they're small people.
Brother,
Small people.
brother, is it incorrect? Is the Bible incorrect here?
The whole Bible is incorrect. The whole
No,
Quran
not
is
the whole
incorrect.
Bible. Bro, again, like you're what are you doing? What do you mean the whole Bible is incorrect? The Bible talks about historical
What are you basing your
events.
theory on biblical
The Bible
books?
talks. The
Can
Bible
you show
talks.
me evidence, man?
Brother. The Bible talks about historical events. Not all of it is rubbish. You understand that, right?
It's all rubbish.
No, it's not all rubbish. Okay, did the Jewish people exist at the time of Jesus?
Jewish people existed. That's a simple
at the time of Jesus.
question.
Okay. Did the Pharisees exist at the time of Jesus in Bethlehem?
Who?
The Pharisees, did they exist in Bethlehem?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so there is two parts in the Bible, right?
That's basic stuff. I'm telling you, prove to me that there is God, and you're going into.
Okay. So now you just refuted yourself because you said all of it's rubbish, but now you're saying no, there is two parts. Okay, so let's restart. There's true parts in the Bible, but there aren't true parts that validate its claim of being inspired. Okay, I agree with you on that. Okay, no problem. Now, where's the author of the Quran getting its information on the Exodus story?
I'm sure there was a lot of Christian in Middle East.
Okay, so from the Bible, right?
That they got it from there, yeah.
So from the Bible, right? Yeah, okay. So they got it from the Bible. What does the Bible say? Was it a big group or small group?
I don't know. I just told you I didn't
I
read
just
the
told
Bible.
you,
keep
brother.
asking me
Like,
the
come
same-
on, brother. You know the answers. That's why you don't want to answer. You know what's going to lead up to. If you say yes, then the Quran knows historical knowledge that couldn't have been known in the 7th century.
My friend, didn't Uthman burn all the mushafs and
Oh,
then
Red
he made
Harry,
up
Red
his
Harry,
own?
brother, you're the atheist.
Harry.
You're asking me for proof, and I'm giving you proof, and you're running away to Uthman.
Yeah, but
serious?
you're talking about Quran and you
Stop
telling me
running!
the Quran,
Stop running!
somebody
Stop running
wrote
from
it.
the argument! Stop running from the argument!
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
So,
I'm right
so
here.
how does the author of the Quran know that the Bible makes a historical error here?
I just told you. It must have been Christian there that they.
How does that Christian know that it's historical error here? How does the Christian tell the author of the Quran here
Yes.
the Exodus story is incorrect? Therefore,
Who did Prophet Muhammad marry? Khadija, right?
Why are you shifting?
I'm trying to tell you
Why are you
how the
shifting?
author of Quran. No, calm down,
Okay,
relax.
Okay, go ahead.
Who did Prophet Muhammad marry? Khadija.
Yeah.
She was. Isn't her uncle was like a priest or something?
Do you believe in the Hadith?
I read the Hadith. I'm getting you from your books.
Okay, do you believe in it or not?
Waraqa Abu Nawfal, he used to go. He's the one. He said.
No, you even got you're Arab and you still got the name wrong. It's Waraka
Ibn, not. Yeah, even I know that, man.
Come on,
Hey,
you know this guy Maurice. Have you been listening to my argument? He wants to shift away from
No,
it.
I had to step away for a second, but inshallah, I'm going to review it because I can't believe. Yeah,
He's running so hard.
subhanallah.
I'm not running. I'm right here. Subhanallah.
Okay,
You believing
okay,
in some Santa
answer the
Claus,
question
man.
now. Okay. What
Yeah,
bin
okay.
Nawfal?
Are you believing in Santa Claus, dude?
Okay, it's a good spot to let him go, inshallah.
Wait, Maurice. I want to grant him that.
I could come back. I was nice. At least you guys didn't start cursing like all the Muslims.
Plato,
Why would I
listen.
curse you, bro?
Yeah, go ahead.
Waraka bin Nawfal told the Prophet the stories in the Quran. Okay, I'm granting you that.
Yes,
Now,
absolutely.
how does Waraka know the Bible's in error here? So you have to say it's a small exodus, not a big exodus. How does he know?
Well, he wrote the Bible. I mean, he know the Bible. He was a priest, so of course. He
Okay,
knows
how does he
something.
know the
Maybe he
Bible's in
changed something.
error? How does he know the Bible's in error?
Well, he probably changed whatever he wants to change. He's telling Muhammad he didn't know how to
so
read
he's
and write.
changing. But okay, watch this. How many
What?
times? How many times does the Quran actually contradict the Bible? How many times?
How should I know?
You find maximum maybe 10 times, 10 to 20 times. And each time,
Who
10
cares?
to 20 times.
Who cares?
Each time,
The
watch
Quran
this,
contradicts.
because you're saying it's randomly contradicting. I'm telling you where it contradicts
I'm
it.
saying anything.
It's where it contradicts it. It's correcting it. Do you understand?
I understand what you're saying. Doesn't mean
Okay.
it's true what you're saying.
Okay.
It's what you believe. You want to believe
Have you read
in
the Bible?
it.
Have you read the Bible?
No, I just
Okay, have you
told
read- have you read the
2-3 times.
Quran?
No.
Have you read
I
the
read
Quran?
some hadiths. I have.
You've only read
listen,
some hadiths, so you can't even verify what I'm saying right now, and you want to take positions. Go
But
do the
that's not
research.
true.
Be
Yeah,
genuine.
Really
That's
quickly,
not
if I may, really quickly. So Plato.
Listen, that's not proof
Plato,
that
just very
God
quickly,
is talking to Muhammad.
Very quickly, sir. Very quickly. So let me
Yes.
make sure I'm understanding you correctly. You
Sure.
don't care about anything. Things have no meaning to you. You don't
Of course.
want to actually do something, meaning like you don't want to investigate because you don't care about investigating. Sir, what's your purpose, man? Like, what are you inviting people to? What are you inviting people to?
It's a good question. You know what? You have to learn the reality and you know what's truth and what's not truth.
Okay, so
and,
how are
and
you determining
what
truth,
you
sir? Hold on, how are you determining
You
truth?
know what? I give you one thing. Do you mind if I say one thing? If I have to pick a religion, how do you pick a religion? How would you pick a religion?
Based on
Because you
objectivity.
converted. Yeah, but what attracts you to a religion?
Truth.
Certain aspects, right?
No,
The truth.
the truth.
Yes.
Yeah, 100% the truth. Yeah.
Peaceful, morality,
That's right.
being good, sacrifice. True?
Yeah.
And literally proof like the Quran having divine knowledge, like I just showed you, and you're ignoring.
Can we just stick to what attract us as a people to
No,
any
the
religion?
truth. I gave him just one. Just give him one.
Maurice,
Truth.
don't let him run away from it. Like you haven't given me a.
I'm not. Don't you want your
He's
prophet
not-
to
he
have
doesn't have a
example
response.
morality?
Because
doesn't have a
Maurice,
response,
you're making him comfortable now, and he
No,
shouldn't.
but here's the thing. There's no point.
Oh,
You're
don't make
just,
me comfortable. I'm getting nervous. Oh my
issue-
God.
Here's the
You're
issue.
getting really nervous. So Waraqa.
I'm not getting nervous. I didn't even start.
You believe that Waraqa had divine knowledge to the point where he knows where the contradictions are in the Bible. To history.
Exactly.
So how does
Prophet Muhammad?
how does
Prophet
Waraqa know that the 1 second? How does Waraqa know that the Exodus is small and not big like what the Bible says? How does he know that?
But he knew it was Angel Gabriel spoke to Muhammad.
Brother, answer my question.
Muhammad
Do you
didn't know,
understand-
but
do
he
you
knew.
understand English, brother?
Okay,
do you understand English?
Plato.
What
Plato,
you're
real quick.
Yeah.
saying that Waraqa had divine knowledge, so he edited the Exodus story to make up for the historical error. How does he
Yeah,
know
sure,
in this
why not?
particular instance? I
I don't know.
How does
He
he know in this
probably how do you know?
Really
It's
quickly,
right
Dean.
or wrong, man.
Just really
You're
quickly,
discussing
Plato.
I want to hear his
something-
response. I want to hear his response.
He doesn't
Maurice.
have
Go ahead.
one. He doesn't have
Go
one.
ahead.
Guys.
Go ahead, Plato. Go ahead. What's your response? Go ahead.
My response: there's no proof to any of what you're telling me now.
Okay, one.
Okay, there's no
Exodus
proof.
and this and all that.
Before-
Proof,
before
but you
you-
haven't even looked at the verses.
Before you go.
I don't care about the verses; they all fake.
Plato,
They're made up.
before you go, Plato, I
Yeah.
just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. So let's pause it here real quick and let me just kind of give you a summary of my understanding of what you brought to the table. and I mean this with all due respect, right? To the table,
Sure.
you brought intellectual laziness, dishonesty. You brought nothing of benefit
You
as
think?
far as conversation. Hold on,
Sure.
let me finish, and then let me
Of
just
course.
finish. This is my takeaway from talking to you. You're inviting people to
Yeah.
nothing. You don't encourage proper research. You don't accept language. You don't accept testimony. You don't accept science. You don't accept logic. And at the end of it all, yes, because I showed you a scientific miracle within the Quran, but you don't accept it.
Quran is not science, man.
So I understand that the Quran is not science, but it contains many miraculous things inside of it.
That's what you
So-
want to believe, bro.
I gave you the evidences, right? You didn't give me anything to the
Okay.
contrary or debunked what I put
Can I say one more thing before
No,
we go?
because I'm still not done laying
Okay.
it. I'm still not done laying down. Now,
Go ahead.
So you're going to reject the Quran. You're going to reject the existence of God. You're going to invite to nothing. And here's what your claim is. Your claim is the Prophet ﷺ basically corroborated with a bunch of different people to put something together. So he must have been a PhD in cosmology. He must have been a PhD in embryology. He must have been a PhD in grammatical structure. He must have been a PhD in fortune telling. He must have been a PhD in all of these things. You think that is more plausible than him actually talking to a divine being?
Do I go? Do I say something?
Can you give me a response to what I just said? Do you think?
Yeah. I believe he was a king, and he was a warlord, and he conquered all that Middle East.
Okay.
That's how he, he had
very
people
good.
working
So over
for
the course of these 23
Makes
years,
sense?
most of which he lived,
Yes.
in exile, right?
He led wars. He
wonderful.
conquered land.
Wonderful.
He took slaves.
Wonderful,
True.
wonderful. Yeah, this
He
has
used
no
to take
shock factor to me or
of the
anybody
slaves.
else. Yeah, this has no
Next
shock
question.
factor to me or anybody else.
Next
but
guest.
I think it's a good time to let you go.